All right, here's the problem that we would like to solve. So let's move to ANSYS Workbench and set up our simulation there. So here I will choose static structural problem, and I'm going to import the geometry. I have already saved it as an IGS file, and next I'm going to launch ANSYS Mechanical. Great, our model has been loaded here. So if I click on geometry, I can see the default material has been assigned. I want to change this to aluminum alloy. So you see we have a range of aluminum alloys. For this problem, I'm going to choose this one. Next, I'm going to define a local coordinate system which will be used to define the location of the load. So I just choose the interior surface of this cylinder, and this places the coordinate system, the origin of the coordinate system, at the center of this cylinder. Next, we will generate mesh. So let's go with the default and see what we get in terms of mesh. So you can see it's the software is using tetrahedral elements, and again these are quadratic elements that are being used. The mesh doesn't look very good. You will see later that the stress concentration is in this region. Hence, we need to refine the mesh in this region. The way that I'm going to do this, there are different ways, but I'm going to use sizing and apply it on these two faces. So make sure here, once you have done the selection, you click apply. And then in terms of element size, I'm gonna reduce that to 5. Let's mesh the geometry again. So the mesh looks a bit better, a bit finer, a bit more uniform throughout the thickness, except from these regions where we had fillet, we had edges here, and the software, the mesh generator, had to put nodes on these edges. So one way to remedy this is to remove these fillets. This is called defeaturing, and this is actually a common procedure when you want to import your geometry into an FE solver. So that would avoid these sort of meshes that you can see here and there. The other thing you need to do, I'm not going to do this here, but always you need to do mesh refinement studies, so making sure that the size of your elements is small enough so that your solution has converged to a value and it doesn't change by refining the mesh further. I mean, it doesn't change much, like less than 5 to 10%. Next, I'm going to apply boundary conditions, so I can use fixed support or displacement. Both will give me the same results because here we are using solid elements and they have translational degrees of freedom only. So both of these options will make these translational degrees of freedom 0. Next, we would apply the remote force. So I choose the surface of this cylinder, apply. In terms of coordinate system, I will use the coordinate system that we just created. The location of the force from the center of that coordinate system is 0 and 0 in these directions, and in Z direction it's 100 millimeters. And the force itself, I'm going to define it with its components. So the only non-zero component is component Y, and that is minus 500 newtons. So visually you see that force is in the right location. So next I'm gonna ask the software to give us the total deformation. Stress, I'm going to get maximum shear stress. So you know maximum shear stress is related to the Tresca failure criterion. I'm going to use Tresca failure criterion later when we do the fatigue analysis. But for now, let's solve the problem and just see what we get in terms of stresses and deformation. Okay, so here's the solution. This is the maximum shear stress, and this is located here in the middle of the arm, 190 megapascals. This is the local deformation. Now, in order to do the fatigue analysis, there is no need to do any more FE analysis. It's all about post-processing the data. So I'm going to use a fatigue tool here. So this fatigue tool essentially uses this information to find the alternating stress and then take that onto the SN curve of the material and find the fatigue life. So there is no FE solution involved at all. So here we need to do some setting. First of all, we need to make sure our load is zero-based, as in the definition of the problem. Next, I'm going to use mean stress correction for our material. We need to use Gerber because our material is ductile. And as I mentioned here, I'm going to use Tresca criterions, which is the same as maximum shear. So everything is set up. If I evaluate this now, there is an error. Essentially means that we need to tell the software what to evaluate. So I wanted to evaluate the lifetime of this component. It's been done. So you can see that actually the lifetime of the component is 0. This is interesting. Let's look at the alternating stress. You see our alternating stress is 309 megapascals. So if we look at the material that we had, that was aluminum alloy, and we look at the SN curve of our alloy, you see here that values that are larger than 275 actually bring the lifetime of this material quite close to 0. So what we predicted was 308, and you can see the software brings it onto this curve and does an interpolation between these two, and essentially tells us that, look, the lifetime of your structure is almost 0. So that is really due to the large force that we've had, and as well the shape of the crank. So we should go back and redesign this, so probably make it a bit thicker, or alternatively we can change the material. So let's look at alloy steel and look at its SN curve. So with 300 it will have certain lifetime, so lifetime between 2000 and 10,000 cycles. Still, it is not amazing. It's actually quite low number of cycles, but you can see that by changing the material you can improve the lifetime, but still this is not good enough. So you really need to go and improve the design of the arm. One thing else that is interesting to look at is to see if you had forgotten to use a mean stress correction. Let's see what is the effect of that. So now this is interesting, isn't it? So you see that the lifetime is not 0 anymore. It's 64,000 cycles. So not including the mean stress correction actually has a detrimental effect on your predictions. So you could actually be quite wrong in your predictions if you forget to include the mean stress correction. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for your attention.